Welcome back to the Illinois Coalition of Local Governments webinar series on the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act and what local governments need to know. In our last video, we talked about individual use and possession. This video is going to focus on state regulation of the business industry created under the Cannabis Regulation and Tax Act, also known as the CRTA. The CRTA defined cannabis business establishments to include both dispensaries and cultivation centers, which already exist in Illinois under the medical program, but also created a number of new businesses for the state. Those businesses include cannabis craft growers, infusers, processors, transporters. Now, you might ask, what is the difference between a cultivation center and a craft grower? They are essentially the same, although a craft grower is going to be much smaller than a cultivation center is. Similarly, processors and infusers conduct operations that were originally handled by cultivation centers, such as extracting the chemical compounds of the THC out of the plant and then infusing them into other cannabis products. Now, these are new businesses that can do that independently of a cultivation center. And lastly would be the cannabis transporters, which, as the name may sound, transport the cannabis and cannabis products between cannabis business establishments. All of these businesses must be licensed by the state of Illinois and follow a number of regulations imposed under the CRTA and subsequent regulations. The cannabis industry in Illinois is regulated by at least 6 state agencies. Each agency is tasked with administering and implementing the CRTA. For example, the Department of Agriculture licenses and regulates businesses that grow cannabis, transport cannabis, and infuse or process cannabis, while the Department of Finance and Professional Regulation regulate businesses that sell cannabis to consumers or medical patients. The Department of Revenue is responsible for enforcing the tax provisions related to cannabis sales, and the Department of Public Health and the Illinois State Police both help promote public safety and reduce crime as it relates to the cannabis. Some additional state mandates to be aware of that are included in the CRTA are requirements that cannabis businesses maintain strict security plans and security systems that allow for real-time access by the Illinois State Police and the Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. The CRTA also imposes strict inventory controls on cannabis businesses, as well as allows inspections by state agencies. Additionally, the CRTA requires certain employee training and reporting to be included as well. In addition to these regulations built into the CRTA, all of these businesses must be licensed by the state, which means that there is a rigorous application process that businesses must go through in order to be licensed in order to sell or engage in a cannabis business. The initial licensing focus in the first half of 2020 was largely on dispensaries. A medical cannabis dispensary organization that held a valid registration when the CRTA went into effect was the first business that was allowed to apply for a recreational early approval dispensing license. With these early approval dispensing licenses, those medical dispensaries could then sell recreational cannabis out of their existing facility. And additionally, the Act allowed them to apply for a secondary site for recreational sales only. Secondary site licenses may be granted as late as March 31st of 2021. Of Illinois' 55 medical dispensaries, 35 were approved to sell recreational cannabis as of January 1, 2020. By July 1st of 2020, that number increased to 60, and a number of medical facilities are still looking into obtaining secondary sites as well. In addition to existing medical dispensaries, the CRTA created an opportunity for new businesses seeking to enter the market to apply for conditional dispensing licenses. Now, these conditional licenses allow the holder to seek a dispensary if they find a suitable location, pass a final inspection, and pay registration fees. Up to 75 of these conditional licenses will be issued during the first round. Originally, these licenses were supposed to be issued by May 1st of 2020. However, due to the COVID-19 public health crisis, this process has been delayed. However, under the CRTA, by the end of 2021, the department is expected to issue up to 110 conditional licenses for new businesses to enter the dispensing market. Ultimately, the law will allow the department to issue 500 of these adult use dispensing organization licenses. But that's just for dispensaries. We also have seen development of cultivation centers for the purposes of recreational cannabis. However, unlike dispensaries, new cultivation center licenses will not be issued until July 1st of next year. Instead, the 22 cultivation centers that exist in the medical cannabis program are currently producing for both medical and recreational sales. Now, the Department of Agriculture is also responsible for licensing and regulating craft growers, transporters, infusers, and processors. Application for the first round of those licenses were accepted earlier this year. That deadline, however, was also extended due to the COVID-19 public health crisis. The department is authorized under the CRTA to license up to 40 craft growers, 40 infusers, and an unlimited number of transporters. The department's also authorized to issue 8 licenses to community colleges that may want to create a vocational training program related to the cannabis industry. By the end of 2021, the department is expected to issue up to 60 additional craft grower licenses and 60 additional cannabis infuser licenses. One aspect of the state regulation and licensing process that specifically applies to local units of government is the requirement that these businesses demonstrate local zoning approval. In the next video of the series, we will discuss local regulation of the cannabis industry as well as state and local tax revenue. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. The Illinois Coalition of Local Governments would like to thank Delgado Law Group for their assistance in producing these videos. For more information, please visit illinoislocalgov.org.